And look, we know that this is increasingly becoming the reality. And if you haven't been hacked yet, or it hasn't been a consequence to you yet, or you haven't had your identity, stolen yet, or you haven't had some charge on a bank account or credit card that you didn't make, it is probably inevitable that it's going to happen at some point. Uh, Let me just think about this. This is just from earlier this year. Over 700 million records breached so far, uh, at this point, in 2024. I mean, this is the easiest thing to research. Here were the top 3 breaches in January and February of this year. I don't know if you're with any of these companies, but those are lots of records that get hacked. They're getting hacked all the time, and we don't even hear about them all the time. Just for last year in 2023, T-Mobile had 37 million, customer records taken. Xfinity, another, cable internet provider, had over 36 million customers impacted. And on top of just the scale of the information that's taken, our personal information that's taken, we also know intuitively, but we can look at the statistics here, it takes organizations time to figure out that they were hacked. Then they're trying to they're trying to cover their backside or their liability before they're necessarily letting us know that this happened, right? 1/4 of the time they find out from the hackers themselves because they want money in a ransomware attack where they effectively say, we stole your data. If you don't pay us money, we're going to, release it, or we're going to shut your system down.
Okay.
But only 1/3 are even recognized by the internal IT teams of those companies. So imagine how much time has often elapsed before we ever even hear that our personal information has been out there. So with that, here's 2 tools you should know. You should write it down if you've never been there before. They are free services and they are worth your time. This is haveibeenpwned.com, although there's no A there, that's not misspelled. Haveibeenpwned.com. And here you can enter in your email address. And so I can do my personal. Sometimes we have multiple personal accounts. You can use your work email because, let's be honest, sometimes we use our work email for other accounts that we log into, maybe because it's business related. And it will tell you, it searches the records of known records of hacked records or anything in the dark web, right? They're adding a database. So, for example, I put in mine, literally put in mine for the purposes of this session. And here's where it starts, right? It says, oh no, you've been pawned. And one of my accounts, I forget which one this one was for. I believe this was a work account. It said my work email had been pawned it was seen in 19 data breaches. Okay. Here's one for like stock photography. So I must have signed up at one point and they got hacked, personal information out there. They took email addresses, IP addresses. That's essentially like an address for my computer, physical addresses, names, phone numbers, passwords. That's what they took in that data breach, right? It also says that AT&T was in a data breach just this year in March, and it took my date of birth, email address. If I provided government issued ID information, they got that, my name, my phone number, my physical address, and so forth, right? And so this is very useful, right? Now okay, I should go to that account and I should probably change my password at minimum, right? Because someone out there might be able to, then access your account because it's been hacked one way or the other.
I just searched my email on it and I have 5 data breaches apparently.
It almost makes your heart sink when you realize, how many times, things are out there. And it also has a neat little feature too. So when you're on the website, Have I Been Pwned? There's a option up here called passwords, where you can literally enter in a password and see, does this password show up in any hacked or any data breaches that are known, that are public? And I did one, just to kind of prove the point. And so knowing that password is the most common password, let's say I was trying to be slick and I said, well, my S's are dollar signs and the O's is zero, and I put an exclamation point because I like to be unhackable, right? Well, this password shows up in 149 different breaches, meaning, right, that in 149 other breaches out there, other people are using that exact same password. And so think about, when hackers are trying to break into your system with common passwords, they're using these things, right? Because they have access to the hacked passwords, and they say, oh, these are the most common. Use those first, right, to get into people's account. They also offer a free feature where you can, sign up and get notified should any time in the future you show up in a different or new data breach. So haveibeenpwned.com, certainly something to check out, and it's free. Another similar service is provided by F-Secure. So I've got it's really fsecure.com, but here's technically the full web address. And it does a similar feature, right? It tells you if your personal information is out there. I don't know if you all are writing it down, I'll give you a second, but they also recommend, and I'm just pointing this out so you know that the advice we're giving you here is good. Obviously, change your password if you're involved in a data breach. Use unique passwords. And then, of course, they want to sell you stuff because they sell stuff. But that this is a free part that you can, get checked. And so I put in an email address. This looks like it may have also been my work one again. And it shows, 32 breaches. This is a parking mobile app, that sometimes you have to use in big cities. They don't have parking meters anymore. That app got hacked. Twitter, obviously a social media account. AT&T, right, got hacked in March of 2024. Also back in 2021 subscriber data. So in any event, I like to check them both periodically just to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. So,
yeah, James, just a quick one for me to add. I mean, from what you just talked about, I would say, even if you want to play with any password anywhere, not your email address, because that's your home on the internet. So I don't even know my passwords to my email because they keep getting changed from time to time. So I can't even remember my password. I have to go check what my password is because I can't really risk that. If anyone gets access to that, they've gotten access to a number of things in my life. So it's really kind of critical that you should change your password like almost every month or every 6 months or a year or something like that. I don't know. Change mine periodically.
It's certainly a good practice, particularly if you're using a password manager, maybe changing that master password for the password manager. I'm guilty of not doing that myself. I'm just, I feel like I'm a step ahead because at least I'm using a password manager, right? But if you crack my password manager, right, you're gonna have access to a lot of information. That's why you want to make that particularly unique. And maybe that's the one you write down and put in your safety deposit box at the bank or something, for some reason you forget that.